Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. A 19-year-old from Brighton appears in court charged with murdering his father, a church deacon, and trying to kill a woman and a child.
How you can help preserve one of the jewels of the southeast. The new recruits needed to join Ashdown Forest volunteer army. Also tonight.
Tell me what you hate about maps. Is it really boring from the front to the back? Examples as whack in a language you don't understand.
The rapping dads from Worthing trying to subtract the fear from maths.
Good evening. A teenager accused of murdering his father in a suspected knife and hammer attack in Brighton has appeared in court.
Fabio Botros Farag is also accused of attempting to kill a woman and a boy on Tuesday. Joe Caution sent this from the city's magistrates' court.
Wearing a grey sweatshirt, Fabio Botros Farag confirmed his name and his address as Hartfield Avenue, which is the same street where emergency services responded to reports of a disturbance at around 7:30 in the morning on Tuesday. The court heard the 19-year-old is accused of murdering his father, Ahmad Samir Botros Farag, who was pronounced dead at the scene by paramedics with a catastrophic head injury. We understand that Farag Sr. was a long-serving and well-respected deacon at the St Mary and St Abraham Coptic Orthodox Church in Hove, where he helped out priests with various administrative duties. A woman and another boy, aged 11, were found outside the property with serious injuries and were taken to hospital. We understand they have since been discharged. According to Sussex Police, the weapons involved are believed to be 2 knives and a hammer. Fabio Farag did not enter any pleas today because of the seriousness of the offences of which he is accused. They will be heard when the case is sent up to Lewes Crown Court. He's been remanded into custody and will appear there tomorrow.
Joe Caution reporting there, and that story and all of the day's news, of course, can be found on our website. The address, as always, itv.com/Meridian.
Police in Kent are renewing their appeal for information 30 years after a baby girl's body was found near Ashford. The newborn, named Baby April by investigators, was found at Singleton Lake in 1995. Police think she was only a week old and died of asphyxiation. Detectives at the time were unable to identify any family but treated her death as murder. A review of the case is now underway with the hope that developments in DNA can solve it.
A jailed cocaine dealer from Kent has had to pay back more than £35,000 following a confiscation order from the court. Well, police found bundles of banknotes stuffed inside 42-year-old Tom Wildish's bag at his home in Herne Bay, as well as large quantities of cocaine and designer trainers. He was sentenced to 6 years. Officers established he's earned more than £100,000 from criminality. The force says it will make sure every penny of it is paid back.
Brothel owners who exploited vulnerable victims across Kent have been jailed. Yuan Hang, Lena Wang and Chung Fu Wang exploited women at more than 50 locations across the UK. Police have released arrest footage of one of the owners, part of a network operating in Canterbury, Chatham, Dartford, Gillingham, Maidstone and Tunbridge Wells. Kent Police first became aware of the criminal enterprise in 2019. Some of the victims were women brought into the country illegally and forced into sex work to pay off family debts.
Free COVID-19 boosters will be offered to some people in Brighton and Hove this spring. It includes those aged 75 and over, along with older residents in care homes. Well, certain GP practices will be offering vaccinations across the city, and walk-in pop-up clinics will be arranged later this month.
There's a rise in the number of babies being born via caesarean section across England.
Well, once considered a necessary surgical intervention reserved for high-risk deliveries, the number of C-sections has steadily increased over the past decade.
Well, Chloe Oliver has been looking at what it means for the health of mothers and babies.
At this baby boom class in Rochester, new parents are adjusting to life with their baby. But how they've welcomed their newest addition into the world is changing, as the NHS has found more women are now having a child by caesarean section.
So they said to me that I should look at having an emergency C-section, but in the end I was sort of happy to have it done because she's safe, she arrived safe.
I had an emergency C-section. It wasn't planned, but it was probably one of the most magical experiences, as magical as it could be.
Clara has been a midwife for the last 30 years and says they work to ensure every birth aligns with the best interests of both mother and child.
It's very varied. Every woman is different, every circumstance is different, every labour is different, every birth. So some women have particular needs and wants around their birth, and they can be quite individual, they can be quite different to somebody else.
The increasing use of C-sections is a trend that reflects larger shifts in modern healthcare and societal changes. According to the latest NHS figures, in England, 42% of all births are now by caesarean section, compared with 29% 5 years ago. In fact, half of women aged 30 to 39 have caesarean births. And for those over 40, this is now the most common way for their baby to be born. The Royal College of Midwives say complex births are a factor in why we're seeing more caesareans, with rising rates of obesity and people choosing to have children later in life.
Age is definitely part of that, but also an increase in fertility treatment and women choosing to have babies older, definitely, but also women choosing to have babies when they already have maybe a complicated illness where maybe 10, 20 years ago they wouldn't have done that.
While C-sections can be life-saving in certain situations, the growing reliance on them has divided opinion.
For most people, when they are pregnant, they really want to do everything as naturally as possible and they want to feel empowered. And actually things like too posh to push can come from fear rather than actually I have an issue with natural birth. A lot of it's around education as well.
There's an ongoing push by healthcare providers to improve patient education around birth, so expectant mothers can make informed choices about how their baby is delivered. Chloe Oliver, ITV News.
In sport, Brighton's quest for a place in next season's Champions League took a dent last night. Aston Villa leapfrogged them into 7th place. Marcus Rashford finishing off a counter-attack. Albion had their chances, but Asensio's emphatic finish and a Doniel Marlin strike 10 minutes into injury time mean attention quickly turns to Saturday when Brighton travel to rivals Crystal Palace.
Now you are watching ITV News Meridian in the South East. We're glad you're with us this evening. Coming up, a final farewell to a colourful queen of Brighton.
And 2 legs or 4 legs, how you can enjoy the Ashdown Forest and care for its future.
It is a beautiful place, and of course you can find more on today's stories all on our website itv.com/Meridian. Any news you have, give us a call. The number, as always, 0808 1010 095, and why not follow us on social media.
Now the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. With the details tonight, here's Charlene White.
Coming up, Trump unleashes more chaos and ignites a global trade war. Products being shipped into America from around the world and here gets more expensive. We'll explain what it could mean for you. A drug dealer pleads guilty to the manslaughter of a 7-year-old boy and 35-year-old man following an explosion caused while making cannabis sweets. And football's coming home. The UK gets set to host the 2035 Women's World Cup. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Now, this may have passed you by, but there's a big argument going on between writers and companies developing artificial intelligence. The writers claim their work is being exploited without their permission.
Well, today, a group of authors protested outside the UK headquarters of Meta, that's the company that owns Facebook, claiming it had used their work without paying to help train its AI. Well, Meta denies this, instead insisting fair use of copyrighted materials is vital to improve its Gen AI. Chris Conway reports.
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. But these authors have stepped away from writing to protest today in the hope of bringing to an end a chapter that could be straight out of a science fiction novel.
The very data they're using, taking from us, they will have AI then generate novels that will then put us out of business.
The group claims that Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, has used copyrighted books from an online database to train its artificial intelligence program without paying the authors for the privilege.
I used to think that that what I did in my brain was unique, and now I'm being told actually we're just going to take what was in your brain and create some Tracy Chevalier-like novels, and we won't have to, we can bypass you. So I will probably be out of a job, and I'm very worried about that.
The authors protesting here today say this is their David and Goliath moment. Individual writers coming together to battle big tech. And they say they're not alone, with authors from across the country standing with them in solidarity.
Abby Longstaff is a children's author from Brighton.
It's a huge issue for authors because we don't earn very much. So if you take away one of the avenues of us making our living, we're really going to struggle. And I know a lot of author friends who've had to give up or get other jobs, and we're going to lose creative people if we don't back them.
Experts in AI have pointed out that the technology has the potential to benefit all humankind, but to do so it needs access to books to help it learn.
If we harness the power of AI for good, the good side, for example, improving the diagnosis of healthcare, help the education, it also can help us discover new solutions and scientific thoughts, ideas.
However, the Society of Authors disagrees and is calling on the government to hold tech companies to account.
We need government to absolutely enforce the copyright laws which are already in place. Various organisations across the industry have facilities in order for authors to get paid, in order for this work to be recognised. All those mechanisms are in place. The copyright law is in place, and we need government to enforce that.
The authors gathered outside Meta today say they're fighting to protect an industry built by the creativity of individuals, something they insist artificial intelligence will never truly understand. Chris Conway, ITV News.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I didn't realise all that was going on. It could do that. It's just...
And complicated.
Yeah, mind-blowing. It really is. Well, in a statement, Meta told ITV News, we respect third-party intellectual property rights and believe our use of information to train AI models is consistent with existing law. Meanwhile, the government says it's working to create a solution to allow AI models lawful access to material while ensuring rights holders get paid.
Now, tributes have been paid to one of the UK's oldest drag artists, whose funeral has taken place in Brighton. David Raven, who was known to audiences as Maisie Trolette, died at the age of 91.
Well, Maisie rose to fame in the 1960s, entertaining audiences for decades. Hundreds of people packed St Mary's Church in Kemp Town for today's service. Tom Savidis has this.
One final journey past many of the bars and clubs he used to perform in. The funeral procession of David Raven, known as drag artist Maisie Trolette, makes its way up St James's Street in Brighton. David passed away last month at the age of 91 after a long and colourful life and career. Hundreds of people packed St Mary's Church in Kemp Town, where David's coffin entered to a song by Actually Gay Men's Chorus.
We have come here today to remember before God our brother David, to give thanks for his life.
Another bow.
David was performing on stage up until 2 years before his death. It's believed he was the UK's oldest drag artist.
This is an American dress, you know.
Yes, I can tell. I think he's going to remain in my heart forever as an imp, and I will miss him. I never seen such love and respect for an artist in my lifetime.
Today's service at St Mary's Church in the heart of Kemp Town was a reflection of David Raven's colourful life. There was laughter, there were tears, but there were also cheers as mourners remembered his performances as Maisie Trolette.
As long as he hates me,
good memories, good fun, and a life. What a life. 91, for goodness sakes. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. Joyous man.
He was the most amazing entertainer, but he was also such a champion for the gay community, and he did such a lot for AIDS, for patients with AIDS.
Mourners were asked to wear bright clothes to reflect his colourful life.
Your public awaits you, Mr. Trollet.
Tom Savidas, ITV News, Brighton.
Wasn't that lovely?
Yeah, what a
beautiful
tribute.
Yeah, to a man who obviously meant so much to so many people. Yeah. Absolutely lovely. Now, anyone who has ever visited Ashdown Forest will know what a special place it is, and there are plans to make it even more special with a wild space project to open it up to more visitors and protect its rare plants and wildlife at the very same time.
But to do that, they need volunteers, and like the flora and fauna of the forest, they're pretty rare. Tony Green has been to find some.
It takes people power to protect the Ashdown Forest, but volunteer numbers are at the lowest they've ever been, putting conservation projects at risk. In the pandemic, the forest was a popular destination, but although there were more visitors, there were fewer volunteers.
During COVID times, when people used to get their hour of fresh air a day, they came up to the forest. It's never been so popular. It's dropped off a little bit since, but what we do want to do is actually have people here who come to the landscape, get inspired by the landscape, understand that Ashdown Forest is a really precious, jewel in the crown place to come to see. We're going to have a new reinvigorated visitor centre, and then you can use this as a stepping platform into the wider landscape and enjoy it.
What's at risk? What will happen if you don't attract enough volunteers?
Well, we just simply won't be able to do what we set out to achieve. And volunteers will turn up, they'll help manage it, they'll visibly see the difference. They'll see the heather, the gorse.
Beth Morgan is one such volunteer. For the past 3 years, she's been putting the forest on social media.
I've got to understand so much about the forest from the questions that we receive on social media, that I then work with the forest team to help explain back to the public, to visitors to the forest, how the forest is managed, what wildlife there is here, what you can come and visit. So it's been, it's really useful to be able to share that with a really wide audience. But personally, I've got a lot out of it as well. I've learned so much about the forest.
It's so nice to see this because this is the first time.
Emma Thorpe is a volunteer warden.
It's not committing to a day a week or committing to a certain amount of hours, which works really well for me. I'm self-employed, so I'm able to kind of get really involved in the things that I can be useful and helpful for, and not so involved when I don't have the time. And the benefit I get from it is enormous. So I've always loved nature, I've always loved the outdoors, but what I'm learning about ecology as part of my volunteering role is huge.
All volunteers play a vital role in the forest. It's Niamh Marnie's job to find more.
We're a really small office team here, so we do rely quite heavily on our volunteers, and we do believe it's a really good chance for people who are local and love the Ashdown Forest for the beautiful place that it is to get involved and to give back. But also there are so many health benefits of being a volunteer and being out in nature.
On days like today?
On days like today, definitely.
New recruits for the volunteer army can get in touch by post or online and help celebrate and share one of the most treasured landscapes in the southeast. Tony Green, ITV News, the Ashdown Forest.
Beautiful. Now let's move on, because it's a subject many children struggle with at school. I know I did, but there is no doubt that mastering mathematics is an important skill for life.
Yes, and campaigners in Sussex have come up with a rather unusual way of inspiring students to get to grips with it. They've made a rap trap called Dad's Sums and Drums, and Malcolm Shaw has more.
Question. Tell me what you hate about maths. Is it really boring from the front to the back? Examples just whack in a language you don't understand. Sine, cos, tan, what's that? I get ya.
Of all the subjects taught at school, maths is often the one that children find most tricky and parents find the hardest to help with. Now the power of rap music has been harnessed to try to change that. This track, called Dad's Sums and Drums, has been created by the Sussex-based organisation Dad La Soul alongside West Sussex County Council.
I'm in my 50s now. The way I learnt maths, the best way was things like Sesame Street, putting subjects to music. So that's all we're doing. We just updated the idea and just made a really banging garage anthem.
The video brought together 70 families with local schools, businesses and community groups. It was officially launched at a special event in Worthing where stars of the rap track were among the performers.
This just seemed like a really cool way to reach the kids and to get maths out there and saying it's cool to understand maths and it will help you in your career.
I've seen people completely fold when they ask a question about numbers and arithmetic and stuff, and they've got to do it mentally, and it's one of those things that really does hurt. I know I still do, but I'm now not as fearful, and that's one of the things, as a father, I try and pass on to my son.
By 10, put a north on the end. These are the tricks that'll help you, my friend.
The video will be released on social media and also used in nursery and primary schools, carefully calculated to subtract the fear of maths and add a catchy riff or two. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Worthing.
I mean, I guess anything that connects with young people about maths. I find it very difficult, and just something that would have taken that fear away would have been really useful.
See, I had an accountant as a father, so I had no excuses. Excuses. But I was going to wrap into the weather, but I just think no.
Sadly, we're out of time.
Yes.
Actually, sadly, we're not out of time, so we're just going to fill anyway, because nobody wants to hear that.
No, just thanks.
Anyway.
I'm hurt now. So here's Chris Page, always smiling with your weather forecast.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Hello there. Very good evening to you. Yes, today across the region there has been once again plenty of sunshine for all of us, although strong gusty winds, particularly across coastal areas, have meant it's felt rather chilly out there today. Into this evening and overnight there's a little higher cloud just across the western side of the patch, but otherwise clearing skies for most of us. Cloud just tending to come and go through the second half of the night, but it's higher base cloud, not amounting to anything, meaning that temperatures won't fall much lower than 10 to 11 degrees Celsius. We start first thing tomorrow then as we go through Friday, and if that high cloud soon melts away to reveal a fairly fine start today with more of that sunshine. The winds still a little bit brisk across coastal areas, but you don't have to travel too far inland tomorrow to see highs up to 20 or 22 degrees Celsius, 72 in Fahrenheit. And the high pressure, well, it stays with us into the weekend, keeping weather fronts at bay. A little bit of an orientation changes, so we just still see a bit more of a southeasterly feed of that air. But as we go through the weekend and into next week, it's no April Fool's today, that's for sure. Plenty of sunshine to come, although just watch out for some of those rather chilly nights. Take care.
TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
I mean, you don't get 5 suns in a row from Holly or Pip, do you?
No, we don't. Let's keep Chris Page. That's what I say. He's not going anywhere.
Actually, before they write in, yeah, we did yesterday. But anyway, never mind. That is it from us. In a moment, the ITV Evening News with Charlene.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.